All right, and we're back to try more chocolate from my trip to Amsterdam. I picked up so many great bars. There were so many makers there from Europe, from Africa, from Madagascar, from South America, so all over the globe. And today we are going to focus on Madagascar. I have two different makers, both from Madagascar. So what's really nice is a lot of times at festivals like this, a country will have a booth. And in this case, the country of Madagascar had a small booth, and they were representing makers from Madagascar. So there was more than one brand there. So we have Robert, a chocolate maker in Antananarivo, and Chocolat Madagascar, who I believe is also in Antananarivo, which I believe is called Tana for short. So we're going to try both of these. The Chocolat Madagascar one, let's start there, because when I'm tasting chocolate, I like to start with the highest percent dark chocolate, which is the least sweet, because remember, percentage tells you about how sweet the bar is, and work my way down to the sweeter chocolate, so the lower percentages. And then I follow with any inclusion bars, which are bars with things added to them, like this bar right here, which we'll try last. And then followed by milk or white chocolate if I'm tasting those, because those are really sweet. So I want to start with the least sweet and work my way to the sweetest chocolate, knowing that the milk and the white chocolate also both have milk powder added, whereas dark chocolate, at least craft dark chocolate, does not. Always read your labels, because mass market chocolate, often when it's called dark chocolate, still has milk added to it. So definitely need to read your label. But in the craft and fine chocolate world, if it's called dark chocolate, it shouldn't have milk in it. All right, so we're going to start with Chocolat Madagascar. So you are probably aware Madagascar is an island nation off the eastern coast of Africa in the Indian Ocean. It has lemurs. I admittedly have never been. I would love to go to Madagascar. They do have a lot of climate and poverty issues as well. It's supposed to be an amazing place to visit, but they grow cacao and chocolate, and there's a lot of groups working to do a better job at making sure that the cacao farmers are getting paid. I don't know what the story is on Chocolat Madagascar, so I don't know their sourcing strategy. But this one says organic single origin, fine dark chocolate with cacao nibs. I just noticed that. So cacao nibs are pieces of the roasted cacao beans. So this is going to be an inclusion bar, meaning that in addition to the chocolate, it's got the nibs added to it. So it'll be crunchy. All right, so let's give this a try. This is sort of an old-fashioned wrapper in that I have to rip it to get it open, which is also unfortunate because the information is on that back, but admittedly it ripped pretty nicely. And then it's in foil, which is very traditional. I would say that I know a lot of my customers, and certainly I prefer it when bars are in resealable pouches, because you can try a little bit, reseal it, save it for later, and know that it's not gonna, the flavor's not gonna diminish when it's exposed to the air. But those resealable pouches are not always the most beautiful, so I find not that many people use them. I broke a piece off, nice and shiny. Chocolate feels smooth, but there are whole cacao nibs in here, so you can see the texture on the back of that. Those are the cacao nibs that have been put in the bar. Break it in half. Nice snap, but it kind of fell apart there, probably because there's a giant cacao nib in the middle. Rub it between my fingers, and I'm sniffing to smell the aroma of the chocolate. Another pro tip: if you're going to taste chocolate, don't wash your hands with soap that has any kind of scent, or you're going to smell that soap. And maybe I don't have scent on my hands, so maybe this is just a floral kind of note to it. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and taste the chocolate. So I'm going to put it in my mouth. I am going to chew this because it's got cacao nibs, which you kind of have to chew. So normally I would just let it melt if it were a plain bar. So this is interesting. Madagascar is often known for its strong red fruit and citrus notes. So I've had bars of chocolate made with cacao from Madagascar that taste like a chocolate covered cherry, even though no cherry has been added. Like, they've got these beautiful fruity notes to them. I'm not getting a lot of fruit in this. I did get a bit of smoke, which often, depending on how the cacao is dried, You know, if it's dried during a rainy season or in an area where this is tradition, they might dry it over fires or in ovens that have a lot of smoke. And so if you're tasting a bar of chocolate that tastes smoky, it's probably from however the cacao was dried. So let me try another piece here. I'm getting a hint of citrus at the end. I'm not getting the cherry notes, just a hint of citrus. I'm going to guess that maybe the cacao nibs, which are quite large, might be what's providing the smoke note, but I'm getting that at the front, getting the citrus at the end, and then the lingering, the finish, which means after the chocolate is melted, what stays in my mouth. There's a little bit of astringency, so my tongue's a little bit dry, but not too much. And you know, some astringency can be very pleasant, so I'd say it's a pleasant amount of astringency. And then I am getting the acidic notes that are often would often taste like cherry, but in this case they're more citrusy, and they're making my mouth water. So that's the other way you can tell that it's acid, but it tastes a little bit acidic, and they're making my mouth water. So this is a 68% bar. So from what I normally eat, it's on the sweeter side. I'm happy to eat sweeter bars if they're made with great cacao and the chocolate has wonderful flavor. So a lot of chocolate connoisseurs will say, oh, I don't eat anything below 70%. But I feel like for me, that's leaving out a lot of great bars that have really amazing flavor. And maybe some of those cacao beans need a little bit more sugar. So I will eat bars anything from about 65 and above. Admittedly, if you start to get below 65, it just gets way too sweet for me. But this one's a 68. It does not have the classic citrusy note or the classic cherry red fruit notes that I would expect from Madagascar. It does have a little bit of citrus. And then it's got the crunch and some smoke, the crunch from the cacao nibs and some smoke. It's a very pleasant bar of chocolate. Like there's not one flavor jumping out and punching me in the face with personality, which is what I often expect from Madagascar. But it's a very pleasant bar of chocolate. Again, one I could eat or taste most of the day and be very happy. Is it the most complex bar I've ever had? No, but it's a very nice bar of chocolate, very well done. And it really is, for me, those complex bars of chocolate are rare. They really are exceptional and rare. And there are many bars of chocolate that are very good. And I would say this one is very good. So thank you for Chocolat Madagascar. All right, let's try a second bar here. This one also from Madagascar by Robert, a chocolate maker and chocolatier in Antananarivo. Okay, so this one is a 65% chocolate bar, meaning that 65% of it came from the cocoa bean, and the remaining part is mostly sugar, although this is an inclusion bar, and first of all, it does have a little bit of lecithin in it. Lecithin is an emulsifier. It helps keep the fluidity of the chocolate when it's going through machines. It can reduce the amount of cocoa butter a chocolate maker needs. That's like a whole book in itself, the discussion about lecithin. I'm not going to go into that today. Okay, so this one is a bar that's an inclusion. It's with kombava, which is kaffir lime, if you've ever had kaffir lime, very, very strong lime that's often used in Asia, and fleur de sel, which is French sea salt. So this is a very light colored bar. Let me actually show you this. You know how we're using all five senses and we're looking at chocolate? Well, this is really interesting because this is a 65% bar. And you see how, I don't know if you can tell the lighting here, but how light colored this is. The color of chocolate does not tell you anything about the percent, right? It's driven by a number of things. I think I've said this before. In this case, it's probably driven by the lighter colored cacao beans. So Madagascar does have a lot of cacao that's whiter in color, so the chocolate's going to look a lot lighter. Bulk market cacao from West Africa, for example, is going to be purple, and the bars are probably going to be a lot darker, and that's going to be true of other varietals, even in South America. So the color is quite light here. And then if you're looking at color in mass market chocolate, they Dutch process it to make it look really dark. So the color is not going to tell you how sweet the bar is or what percent it is. So don't pay attention to that, the color. You can pay attention to it when you're comparing like this, but I wouldn't make any conclusions from the color, let's put it that way. All right, so we're going to try this one with kaffir lime leaf, which they call kombava, and French sea salt. Ooh, strong kaffir lime note. I love Thai food. I love kaffir lime, so I'm very excited. So this one's interesting. Has very, very smooth, creamy mouthfeel and texture. So it's very pleasing from a textural standpoint. It's pretty strong on the kaffir lime, and I really like kaffir lime, so I'm okay with that. I'm wondering though, I suspect this might be, the lime might be from an essential oil, but I can't tell because you can't tell from the ingredients. And again, if they're chocolate makers, and I actually don't know if Robert is a chocolate maker, they may be a chocolatier, so they may be working with chocolate and adding the essential oil to it. But if they were a chocolate maker, they could add kaffir lime and refine it when they were refining the chocolate. But if they're a chocolatier and they're not refining chocolate, they're working with it, then there's a high probability this is an essential oil. But it does have a very, very nice flavor. If you like Thai food, I keep saying Thai because that's probably where I've had the most kaffir lime leaves, I think. But I know it's throughout Middle Eastern Asian food, and obviously in Madagascar. So very fun and pleasant bar by Robert in Antananarivo. So if you're ever in Madagascar, you can visit them, and you can visit Chocolat Madagascar. Okay, so that is the latest. I've got more coming because my supply of chocolate is never ending. Happy chocolate tasting, everybody. I'll see you soon.